It seems like watches are getting more and more expensive. However, Zelos somehow manages not only to keep the price the same, but also to give us more. I reviewed a version of this watch a couple of years ago, and since then this model saw a number of big improvements. However, the price was kept the same. In today's video, I will do a review of not one, but two different versions of Zelos Blacktip Diver and give you all the pros and the cons as I find them. This watch has a 41mm case diameter, it's 47.5mm from one lug to another, the case thickness is only 13mm, and the lug width is 20mm. The case and the bracelet are both made out of titanium. It mainly features a brushed finish with a few high polish accents like on the sides of the lugs and on the edges of the bracelet. I think the high polishing is applied very strategically, like for example the chamfered edge on the underside of the case makes the case seem slimmer. Looking at the profile of this case, you notice a couple of things. Number one, the case kind of curves down to hug the wrist. Second thing you notice are of course these drilled lug holes. Not only it's a bit of a vintage throwback, it also makes changing straps a lot easier. Titanium is a lighter material than stainless steel. It is also more scratch prone. However, Zelos has addressed this issue. They applied hardened coating across the watch case as well as the bracelet, which improves scratch resistance greatly. In fact, this watch is more scratch resistant than a standard stainless steel case would be. In terms of the case architecture, it's a pretty straightforward case. The crown is at the 3 o'clock position. It's a screw down crown signed with a loomed Zelos logo. Gives this watch 200 meters of water resistance. You notice that the watch doesn't have any crown guards. Slightly domed sapphire crystal with AR coating applied on the underside of the crystal, which is an important detail. You don't want your AR coating to scratch off. There is a screw down case back at the back that features an engraving of a blacktip shark. That's where the name comes from. It's named after this species of sharks. At the front of the watch, since this is a diver watch, you see a 120 click unidirectional bezel. The bezel action is very firm. It has confident clicks. However, the bezel action is also a bit springy. After each articulation, you can almost feel it spring back like half a notch almost. It's not too bad. It's not as bad as some of the other watches that I've tested, but it's definitely obvious. On the positive side, it is a very nice feeling bezel action. A lot of titanium divers don't feel right with their bezel action. The bezel action is just a little too tiny or it's not confident enough. This bezel action feels nice and solid, but it is springy. The two different versions of this watch that we are testing today also come with different bezel insert materials. So the orange version comes with an embossed ceramic bezel. It has a very cool stealthy look. The numerals and the hashes are raised and there is a loom pip at the 0 o'clock position. The Aventurine dial version comes with an Aventurine bezel insert, something that I have never seen in a watch before, and I think it gives it a cool look. This bezel is also loomed, which I will demonstrate later on when we talk about the dial. Lastly, I want to talk about the feeling of this watch in your hand. It's something that's very difficult to translate through the video, but I'll do my best to explain. A lot of times when you hold a titanium watch in your hand, it has a very specific lightness. When you hold one in your hand, you know exactly what it is. It feels like titanium. It even has a slightly different texture to the touch. And you can almost tell how good the titanium watch is by how solid it feels in your hand. Happy to say these watches feel very nice and solid. They almost feel like stainless steel watches, but they still come with that lightness. On the wrist, the advantages of a titanium watch become apparent. It's a lighter watch than a stainless steel one, which makes it a little bit more comfortable to wear through the day. I never really felt my wrist getting tired from the weight of this one. I also think that the size is reasonable. 41mm in diameter is sort of a sweet spot for a lot of diver watches. I have about a 7.5-inch wrist, and I think overall it fits very well. I think it fits as a true 41 millimeters, maybe a little bit larger like a 42 millimeter watch. So if you can wear something like a Seiko SKX without a problem, then you should have no issue wearing this one. I think people with medium to smaller size wrists should wear this watch pretty comfortably. The one concern that I had when I looked at the pictures of this watch was this protruding crown at the 3 o'clock position. I thought it might protrude a little bit too much since there are no crown guards. Happy to say it doesn't really dig into your wrist or anything. There are no uncomfortable pressure points as far as I found. The bracelet, just like the rest of the case, is made out of titanium and it is covered with a hardened coating. It's an H-link construction with a slight taper closer to the clasp. The bracelet comes with chamfered edges for a bit of visual interest. It feels fairly well built. There isn't too much play. It also comes with a titanium clasp, 2 pushers for a release. This clasp also features a quick adjustment system. You see a button here, you push on it and you can resize it for up to 5 or 6 different notches. Pretty clever system and one of the better implementations that I've seen from Zelos watches. There's also a quick release system on this bracelet, which makes it easy to swap it for something like a rubber strap. And overall, I think the bracelet fits pretty tightly into the case. Visually, there are no gaps, and when I try to shake and wiggle the bracelet, it doesn't look like there is much of a play between it and the case. A lot of companies that make titanium watches don't make titanium bracelets because they're not easy to execute. Happy to say that Zelos did a great job with this one. A lot of times in my reviews, I say that you can judge the quality of a watch by the quality of the bracelet. And if you were to judge this watch by the quality of its bracelet, I think you'd be pretty happy overall. We have a couple of different dials to review. First, let's talk about this burnt orange dial. It has a slight sunburst effect as well as a gradient going from a dark gray, almost black, to this sort of copper orange. It's a very nice color in person, a little bit shinier than I was hoping it to be. I think a more matted look would look a little bit better with this stealth-like bezel. The other dial is of course Aventurine. It's one of these dials that looks like a starry sky, but you really have to see it in person to get the full effect. It's hard to convey how beautiful these dials are on a video. If you see it in person, you know exactly how good they look. And depending on the different lighting conditions, depending on how the light hits, it can really sparkle and shine and attract a lot of attention if you're into that sort of thing. Now, both dials feature applied indexes. For hour marks, there is a date window at the 6 o'clock position with a date frame. I think the execution on that is pretty good. It doesn't really ruin the symmetry of the watch. There is an applied Zelos logo closer to the 12 o'clock position on both versions, just in a different color. And you have black tip and water resistance written again closer to the 6 o'clock position. Both versions feature what I call a classic Zelos set of hands. Orange dial version has an orange tip on its seconds hand, which makes it slightly different from the Aventurine dial. Now, Zelos is known for their lume, and these watches are no exception. The lume is excellent. Here's a lume shot for your reference. As you can see, the Aventurine version also features a lumed bezel, which has a nice effect. The movement powering both watches is a Miyota caliber 9015 automatic movement that features hacking and hand winding, 24 joules, beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour, so it is a high beat movement, and it comes with 42 hours of power reserve. I think it's an excellent choice of a movement for a watch in this price category. The only downside of this movement really is that rotor noise. You can definitely hear it, and sometimes you can even feel it on your wrist, so just keep that in mind if rotor noise really bothers you. No watch is perfect, and this model is no exception. However, my job as a reviewer is kind of difficult. I find it hard to find things to complain about in this watch. Yes, the rotor noise is a little bit loud, maybe the clasp is a little bit too large, but overall I think the build quality is fantastic. If you like how these watches look, I don't think there's going to be much that you will find disappointing in terms of the build quality. or the overall execution. Out of the two versions that I had for a review, I think I preferred the orange one. It just looks a little bit more like a tool watch, like a traditional diver. However, this Aventurine dial is also very beautiful. It's unlike anything else on the market. I think Zelos once again nailed it. They did a great job with this release, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else they come up with in the next year. Thank you guys for watching this video all the way until the end. Please give a thumbs up if you enjoyed the review. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss more videos like this in the future. And leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about these Zelos Blacktip divers. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Are you gonna buy one? I always enjoy reading your comments. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.